Well, I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it.
All right, my beauties and bees, welcome to the show where we get really weird with it. And today is no exception. We're going to be talking to angels. Do you know how to talk to angels? Do you know the secret language to talk to angels? Well, if you don't, you better get on board with us right now, because that's where we're headed. Because today we're learning about what's Enochian. All right, so what is Enochian? Well, it has a sordid history, but I'm excited to share it with you. Let's do this. If you're not familiar with early occultism, people like to talk a lot about, like, John Smith and his interpreting the golden plates and stuff, but he wasn't the first one to pull that kind of grift. Oh, hold on. This doesn't need to be that small anymore, I don't think, because there's no person down in the corner. There we go.
Fallen angels were cast to the earth. In the ancient past, fallen angels were cast to the earth and lived amongst humans and even had relationships with them. In this video, we will look at three concepts of a type of language between fallen angels and human beings. The three concepts that we will look at is the Enochian language, unciphered text and hieroglyphs, and megalithic sites. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 9, it lays the foundation for the concept of these angels on the earth. And it reads, "So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast."
That old serpent. But that's why people assume the serpent in the garden and the devil are one and the same.
Cast out with him. The first concept that we will look at is the Enochian language. The widespread understanding of the Enochian language come from John Dee and Edward Kelly. John Dee was a mathematician, an astronomer, a teacher, an occultist, and an alchemist.
And most importantly, a grifter.
He was said to be an intense Christian, but through his study of religion and spirituality and the times that he lived in, led him to search out spiritual matters in all ways that he possibly could. John Dee was an advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, and she relied upon him heavily for guidance.
He's not the first magician to, make the royalty favor his predictions. I mean, you have Nostradamus, and you had obviously maybe one of the most famous, maybe the last one of the that was in the 20th century was Rasputin. But yeah, the royal magician.
As John Dee combined science and spiritualism to rise to the high rankings of the Elizabethan politics, in his letters to Queen Elizabeth, he would sign them 007, which later was used to influence the movies James Bond. As the story goes, one day John Dee was the
original 007.
A long, intense prayer when all of a sudden the angel Uriel showed up and gave John a crystal the size of an egg. Uriel said through looking into the crystal, he could contact angels. But after weeks and
this is where things come in, like, where you kind of feel like John Smith might have, like, read the biography of John Dee and been like, okay, here's how you do it. Because he's like, oh yeah, an angel gave me this magic crystal. And he has the crystal.
Weeks of trying to look into the crystal under the guidelines of Uriel's directions, John Dee had no success. Until one day a man came up and introduced himself. This man was Edward Kelly. Edward Kelly was an English Renaissance occultist and scryer. Depictions of Edward Kelly show him wearing a hat because it said his ears were cropped, a punishment that was known to be given to people caught in forgery. So, again, and that's another thing in common with John Smith. Keep this in mind. John Smith was also had previously been prosecuted for fraud. I mean, forgery, fraud, yeah. Dee told Edward Kelly about the stone and the interaction with Uriel. John was shocked when Edward Kelly was the first person to be able to look into the stone and actually get a message from an angel through it. This
Oh, I bet he was. I'd get an angel through your stone too if you give me a chance. And yeah, this is convenient, right? Uriel gives him the stone, and then Edward Kelly comes up. Is like, oh, I can read what the stone says. But wait till we get to what the Thank you for the congrats on the 500 the transpositions. Please go check it out.
process of looking into a stone or a reflective surface for messages from the other side or the spirit realm is known as scrying. John Dee and Edward Kelly would scry for hours every single day. Here is actually John Dee's obsidian mirror that was used for scrying sessions. This is in the British Museum. And here's another one of John Dee's items that he called the Seal of God. This item was used for...
It doesn't even shape like a seal. Does not look like a seal. Where's its flippers?
The stone or mirror to be placed on to see and talk to the angels. From 1581 to 1585, John Dee and Edward Kelly began performing long series of these spiritual methods to contact the angels. At the age of 54, Dee wrote in his personal journal that God had sent, quote, good angels to communicate directly with mankind. Hundreds of these...
I saw one was named Raphael. Good angels. Now, when it comes to these cult leaders, I want you to keep in mind that there's always a running theme that sooner or later, God always tells his prophet, I need to fuck your wives.
These spiritual conversations were recorded in his journals. During these sessions is where they gained the knowledge of what they called the Enochian language. And actually, John Dee himself never described the language as Enochian. That's what it has grown to be known as through the years, but he referred to it as angelical or the celestial speech, the first language of God/Christ, or particularly Adamical. That's because he asserted that it was used by Adam in the Garden of Eden.
Just asserted it. And this is just like making up their own language as they go.
To name all of God's creatures. Dee and Edwards came to believe that this was the primordial language or the first language ever, and actually the language of angels and the language they would use to communicate with God. Through these sessions was given to them the Enochian alphabet. The script is written from right to left and may include accents. The Enochian letters have English letter equivalents, with some of the letters' names pronounced as they would be in English, but many are pronounced differently.
So is English derived from Enochian then? Or maybe you all made up Enochian and tried to make it different by going right to... What did they say? Right to left? And yeah, making it weird.
They're given in the original Enochian language and a modern English translation based on John Dee's old English versions. Now, while it's said John Dee was an intense Christian, the state of the world and the society of the time somehow didn't show to these men that what they were doing was a wrong spiritual practice. During the end of their time together, Edward Kelly heard in one of his spiritual interactions that him and John Dee were supposed to share their wives with each other.
See, that's what it always comes down to. If you're a cult leader, eventually, inevitably, no doubt at all, that at some point, the angels or God himself is going to tell you need to fuck your congregation's wives. And you got to do it because that's what God orders. When God says, fuck them wives, you fuck them wives.
John Dee was confounded and not happy with this, but then the men together went into another one of their seance scryer sessions, and the angel confirmed to the both of them that this was something that they should do. The diary of John Dee said that he was in great amazement and grief as he did not want to have to share his wife with Edward Kelly. On the 21st...
That is always the rule. If you cannot be a prophet or leader or you cannot have your own cult unless you're fucking their wives. I think it's just, at this point, it's just good business.
1st of May 1587, Dee confirmed that the wife share had taken place with just 2 words in Latin in his diary, pactum factum, or pact fulfilled. After this event, things were not the same between Dee and Kelly. Around this...
I bet this ear-cropped forgery guy who'd been arrested for committing fraud and forgery just banged your wife, and now you don't want to hang out with him anymore. I get it.
This time, both men went their separate ways. John Kelly went back to his home in England, and when he arrived, to his surprise, He found his house and his beloved library and estates in ruins. Edward Kelly, while for a short period of time rose to prominence in the Bohemian Assembly and was granted Czech citizenship where he could own property, but things didn't stay too good for him too long, where he ended up spending time with bad company, caught up in debts, and lost favor with the emperor and ended up in debtor's prison. Isaiah 8:19 says, "And when they say to you..."
So, yeah, as far as he's a grifter, he was a professional grifter. It just this is the same thing with John Smith.
"Seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter. Should not a people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living?" Galatians 1:8 verse 9 gives us more wisdom into this topic and says, "But even if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than that which we have preached to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone preaches any other gospel to you than what you have received, let him be accursed." While the Enochian...
Well, yeah, I pretty much, what I'm going to say is if you're scrying and the angels tell you that you should do some wife swapping, that maybe you should question the person you're scrying with.
language is a somewhat modern version of a claimed connection of a language between fallen angels and humankind. In my opinion, there are ancient connections to this in a few ways. One of those ways is unciphered languages and hieroglyphs. Revelation 12:9 and Genesis 6:4, as well as other verses, tell us that fallen angels interacted with human beings. The languages of these ancient cultures that have not yet been deciphered, I believe, could document the history of that. A few
but I don't think
examples
that...
of undeciphered writing systems are the Indus script.
But I don't think that Edward Kelly was actually reading any kind of forbidden language. I think Dee and Kelly were kind of fabricating this through... They kind of feeding into each other's beliefs that they were having these experiences. And then eventually Kelly is like, I get this guy on my snares now. I could tell him that, these angels are telling us anything and he's going to believe me and he's going to do it. And he did.
Also known as the Herpan script, is a corpus of symbols produced by the Indus Valley civilization. This is said to be between 3,300 and 1,900 BC. The Olmec hieroglyphs designate a possible system of writing or proto-writing, writing with pictures developed within the Olmec culture. This is said to be around 600 BC, possibly the oldest Mesoamerican script. Rongo is a system of glyphs
I like Rongo, by the way. Rongo is neat.
discovered in the 19th century on Rapa Nui that appears to be writing or proto-writing. Rapa Nui is also known as Easter Island.
Yeah.
Hieroglyphs tell a story. The same way I can show you these meme
You're going to tell us this is telling us the story is go to church and pray, and God will bring blessings to you.
Sequences, and you understand what I'm saying, is the same thing these hieroglyphs once did for the people of that region. Here are a few hieroglyphs and petroglyphs showing the offspring of fallen angels, their giant Nephilim children.
So that's this silly, right? Like, because ancient art was really... Some ancient art, not all of it. Some ancient art was really bad at depicting... Some modern art's bad at depicting children. That doesn't mean that they are... Yeah, it's Rongo. It's the Rapa Nui.
We see these in
language.
Egypt, Assyria, Algeria, Chile, and Native America, to name a few. Cities today are statements of art and architectural intelligence. Ancient building sites with huge stones or megalithic sites are the same thing. The builders of these ancient sites could have used smaller stones, which of course would have been easier, but the use of impossible...
Yeah, but smaller stones would not have been a display of power. People building big fancy structures and stuff usually are trying to send a message to the people around them, right? Make you feel like something special, make you feel like it's important. Yeah, Rongo. That's how it's spelled, exactly.
Sized stone sends a message and makes a profound statement about who the builder is and their knowledge and strength. A few examples of this in the ancient past are Baalbek in Lebanon, Egypt, and Peru, specifically Cusco, Sacsayhuaman, and Ollantaytambo. The Bible
Alante
reveals to us that
Tampo.
fallen angels, in fact, were in contact with human beings in the past.
Apparently, with the Incas, within the last 1,000 years, and they've been in contact with the Polynesians within the last 800 years. So that's great. Angels sure are mixing it up.
John Dee and Edward Kelly believed that they were in contact with angels, but I would argue that these men were in contact with fallen angels. They may not have understood at the time because of the culture and whatever the understanding of that day was of spirit.
I think that as far as religious understanding of that day, it was probably a lot more concise and took as de facto than it is now. Now we understand that most religion is mythology, right? But Edward Kelly he's like, yeah, this is the best way for me to bang people's wives.
Spiritual activity and alchemy, but through the process of contacting these, quote, angels, and them telling them to sin through the process of swapping wives, should have told them, especially John Dee, who was said to have been a devout Christian, that these angels were not sent from God. A true angel of God would never lead anyone to sin. These different historical sources support the biblical narrative all the way.
I think that generally speaking that it's, I don't want to say that it was following the Bible because, you have to kind of do some gymnastics to get there, but the Bible, Jesus's teachings were to, give up your worldly possessions. And at the time of Jesus, worldly possessions did include your woman, your property, your wife, your daughters. So, it's wife swapping, letting another man have at it, could be seen as a way to give up your your possessions and live a godly life, I guess.
Way back to the book of Genesis of fallen angels in the earth. While Satan and his fallen angels have tried and still do try to corrupt the lives and the mindsets of mankind, we can know that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ. The passage following in Revelation 12 after Satan and his angels were cast out reads as follows: "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death." Let me know what you think in the comments about fallen angels and the language that they have between humans and amongst themselves. Did they leave evidence of this language behind? Can we look back at history and see this language? I hope and pray you all are well. Let me know your opinions on all this in the comments. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
All right. Oh.
Tensions are mounting in the Middle East. Israel bracing for expected retaliation strikes from Iran over last week's killing of a top Hamas leader.
The potential for...
Yes, this channel does a lot of religious conspiracy stuff. If we look, yeah, Iran turning to Jesus, UAP shot down, an angel sighting? Was there an angel sighting? Oh my goodness. Pope Francis is going to open 5 sacred portals on Christmas Eve. I wonder how that turned out. Did we open those sacred portals? React to Jesus. Mysterious orb over New Jersey reacts to hearing Jesus. The truth about the US UFOs and drones. Yes. So this is a channel we're definitely going to have to visit again. We're doing Slings and Stones. We're subscribed to it, but I wanted to see you give somebody else another chance to crack this egg.
And legends of the past. Join us on a captivating journey through history as we uncover the secrets that have fascinated humanity for centuries. From lost civilizations to mythical tales that shaped our culture, we explore the events that left an indelible mark on our world.
Yeah, it's all in-time fantasy stuff. I think this guy, I think it's actually AI reading this, but the channel takes a little more skeptically.
Enochian is a meticulously constructed angelic language that emerged in the late 16th century and is widely associated with the occultists John Dee and Edward Kelly. These two influential figures claimed that the language was divinely revealed to them by angels during their scrying sessions, which involved gazing into reflective surfaces to obtain mystical insights. According to Dee and Kelly, the angels imparted the intricate linguistic system of Enochian, providing them with a profound and esoteric means of communication with celestial realms. This enigmatic language, believed to hold mystical power and secrets, continues to captivate researchers, practitioners of the occult, and those fascinated by the interplay between spirituality...
And that's the thing, too, because like in the late 19th and early 20th century, a lot of these occult organizations popped up. Golden Dawn is the one that mostly sticks out, like Aleister Crowley. And they use this language, right? Without even... And to me, what that says is the Golden Dawn were just no different than than the Mormons, because they were believing some miraculous nonsense that someone said they pulled out of thin air and just took it at face value. Prophets are so weird. The people believe any prophet. Totally blows my mind, because I look at modern prophets. It's like these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're being nonsensical. They have it, and they're dependent on people's not understanding how nature works.
And linguistic symbolism. John Dee, born in 1527 and passing in 1608, was a notable figure in the Renaissance era, known for his multifaceted pursuits in mathematics, astronomy, and metaphysics. Born in England, Dee made significant contributions to the fields of navigation, cartography, and mathematics, and he is often regarded as one of the most learned men of his time. Dee's association with Queen Elizabeth of England began when he advised her on astrological matters. He cast horoscopes for the Queen and provided counsel on political and strategic matters, thus establishing himself as a trusted advisor in her court. However, his interests extended far beyond traditional scientific and political pursuits. Driven by a deep fascination with the occult and esoteric knowledge, Dee sought to unlock the secrets of the universe and understand the hidden dimensions of reality. He firmly believed that by communicating with celestial beings and receiving guidance from higher realms, he could gain insights that would...
Stop saying he firmly believed. You don't know what he firmly believed. You don't know if he was grifting.
...benefit humanity. To this end, Dee turned to various forms of divination and magical practices, one of which was scrying. Scrying is an ancient technique used to perceive hidden knowledge or future events by gazing into a reflective surface, such as a crystal ball, mirror, or water. Dee employed a specific crystal, known as a shoe...
Staring into flashlights? I read that as fleshlights. That shows you where my brain is. Yeah, but I've never stared into a fleshlight or a flashlight. Let's not do either of those things. But I did have a scrying mirror when I was a witchy girl, which is a little round black mirror that I would stare into. It's sort of meditative, so it's not bad. It's just giving you something to focus your attention on while you're meditating. I prefer now to meditate with my... I prefer to meditate now with my eyes closed.
Stone or showstone, which was believed to possess mystical properties. By concentrating his gaze upon the crystal, he sought to establish a connection with spiritual entities and receive visions or messages.
I think on your AI prompt on this one, you should have put crystal ball. Because, that's just a crystal.
Dee's scrying sessions were not limited to celestial communication, but also involved attempts to contact angelic beings. He believed that angels held profound wisdom and could serve as intermediaries between humans and the divine. With the assistance of his...
Maya says you have to believe him. He has an AI voice.
...trusted scryer, Edward Kelly, Dee conducted numerous scrying sessions in which they claimed to receive messages from angels, including a celestial language called Enochian. Dee's fascination with the occult and his dedication to his spiritual pursuits did not go unnoticed. While some contemporaries admired his intellectual prowess, others viewed his practices with suspicion and skepticism. The line between Dee's scholarly pursuits and his
wisely so
metaphysical endeavors often blurred, leading to controversy and accusations of sorcery. Nevertheless, his relentless pursuit of knowledge, both in the realms of science and the occult, remains a significant aspect of his legacy. In addition to his magical pursuits...
Oh, I do that too. Especially when I get into a nice loose chord structure where I can just go through my emotions with it. I'll play and move through different different feelings and kind of channel my inner self, I guess, to let some certain feelings out that I don't get to articulate verbally to the world.
Dee's contributions to mathematics, astronomy, and navigation were substantial. He wrote numerous works on these subjects, including the mathematical preface to Euclid's Elements and the general and rare memorials pertaining to the perfect art of navigation. Dee's writings and teachings played a significant role in advancing scientific knowledge during the Renaissance period. During the late 16th century, John Dee collaborated with Edward Kelly, an intriguing figure known for his involvement in alchemy, mediumship, and his purported ability to communicate with supernatural entities. Kelly became Dee's primary scryer, assisting him in his quest to establish contact with the angelic realm.
Until he fucked his wife. I bet this one doesn't cover that, but...
Dee and Kelly's partnership began in 1582, when they met in Bohemia, present-day Czech Republic. Kelly claimed to possess the ability to communicate with angels through a crystal ball or other scrying mediums. Intrigued by Kelly's abilities, Dee invited him to join him in his metaphysical pursuits, seeking to gain deeper insights from the spiritual realm. Together, Dee and Kelly conducted a series of intense scrying sessions, often referred to as the spiritual conferences. They used a special crystal known as the shoe stone, through which they claimed to receive messages and visions from angelic beings. These
what that crystal, what they tell you to do?
Took place in various locations, including the cities of Prague and Krakow. During these scrying sessions, Kelly would gaze into the crystal while Dee transcribed the messages he received. They claimed to communicate with a host of angelic entities, most notably a group of beings they called the angelic governors, or the angelic hierarchy. According to their accounts, these
angelic swingers, guys,
beings provided them with divine wisdom, knowledge of secret mysteries, and prophecies about future events. The language in which these angelic communications occurred was known as Enochian. Dee and Kelly believed that Enochian was the language of angels, a celestial tongue that surpassed any earthly language in its depth and spiritual significance. They diligently recorded and developed a complex system of Enochian language and symbols based on the messages received during their scrying sessions. Dee and Kelly's collaboration and the information they claimed to have received from the angelic realm deeply
the information on how to be a swinger
influenced their worldview. They believed that the angelic beings were guiding them towards a divine mission, which involved the restoration of ancient knowledge and the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. However, their partnership was not without its challenges. Over time, tensions arose between Dee and Kelly, and doubts about Kelly's credibility emerged. Some scholars have suggested that Kelly might have manipulated Dee and fabricated the messages they received. Nonetheless, their collaboration lasted for several years, with Dee documenting their scrying sessions extensively. The legacy of Dee and Kelly's scrying sessions and their communication...
I wonder if Kelly saw John Dee's wife first and then decided that he was a scryer. Because you can see his pointed ears here, because he's supposed to have cropped ears because he was a fraudster, so he'd been like criminally punished by having his ears cropped. But I wonder if he saw if he saw his wife and he was like, oh damn, let me find out what this guy's into and see how I can swindle him into getting me some of that.
With angelic entities continues to captivate scholars and occult enthusiasts alike. The Enochian language and system developed by Dee and Kelly.
Oh my god, Aunt Jer. Oh, Aunt Jer, I'm pinning that. That's great. You win. You win the chat today. I wonder if Kelly's wife liked Dee's nuts. I think Kelly wasn't really into the wife swap, is what Dee wasn't into the wife swap, so he probably wasn't giving it his all when he banged Kelly's wife.
Have become foundational elements of various occult traditions and magical practices. Many practitioners still study and explore their work, seeking to unlock the mystery.
The ancient knowledge of how to throw a key party. The crystal balls told me, everyone throw thy chariot key onto a blanket, and thy ones you take out, thy owner, thy must fuck. You guys.
Embedded within the angelic communications. John Dee believed that the Enochian language was the language spoken by Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden before the fall. He considered it to be the original language of humanity, containing profound wisdom and divine power. Dee and Kelly claimed to have received this language through communication with angels during a series of scrying sessions. According to Dee and Kelly, they used a scrying technique involving a crystal ball or a mirror, where they would gaze into the reflective surface to receive visions and messages from angelic beings. They claimed to have made contact with angels who revealed the Enochian language to them. The language was said to be composed of a complex system.
Yeah, I'm saying that, Dee was probably, John Dee was probably like crying while he fucked Kelly's wife. I actually kind of feel bad for John Dee, because he's like thinking this, like, angels are really telling him to let this guy bang his wife. It's like, okay. And he went to his grave with that being the thing that he believed, that angels wanted his wife to fuck Kelly. Fuck Edward Kelly. That's crazy.
System of letters, words, and symbols, which were arranged in a grid-like structure known as the Enochian tablets. One of the distinctive features of Enochian is its complex grammar and syntax. It has a highly structured system that differs.
Did you know if you watched The Grinch, though, the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch, the scene where it's talking about when he was arrived in his little basket or whatever, that the who's inside the party were having a key party, if you pay attention?
Significantly from English and other European languages. Enochian grammar involves the use of prefixes, suffixes, and infixes to indicate tense, mood, and other grammatical aspects. The language also employs a unique word order, which often deviates from the subject-verb-object pattern found in English.
Who's are some horny motherfuckers. I'm just saying. The Who's from down in Whoville, they love to fuck.
The Enochian script, also known as the Celestial script, is the writing system associated with Enochian. It consists of a series of angular and curving symbols or glyphs, which are often written from right to left. The script has a distinct aesthetic, with intricate and ornate characters. Each symbol represents a sound or a combination of sounds in the Enochian language. Enochian has a large vocabulary of words and phrases that were supposedly revealed to Dee and Kelly during their angelic communications. Many of these words are unique to Enochian and have no direct equivalents in other languages. The vocabulary encompasses various aspects of spiritual and metaphysical concepts, as well as elements of Christian and Judeo-Christian symbolism. Due to its esoteric origins and association with occult practices, Enochian has remained a niche language primarily used within occult and ceremonial magic circles. Some practitioners of the occult still...
And those people are no different than, like the Mormon church now for believing this nonsense, right? That's like... Someone said that they receive divine messages via... scrying. Scrying's the same. They're looking into a crystal. John Smith was looking into a hat, whatever. But receiving messages from the divine... and then people are actually like modern occultists that are like, oh, I'm not into the modern religions. I'm into this. Don't realize that the Enochian, the Golden Dawn, everything, Wicca, all of it links back to this, back to these two trolls right here. These two wife swapping trolls. All of it goes back to that. The modern witchcraft is not built on ancient pagan practices. Well, I shouldn't say all of it. Some of the stuff more so than others. But a lot of the modern cult stuff is built around what these guys were doing here. And we know now, looking at this, that it's completely fabricated, right? I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that from you guys, from a modern lens, looking back at the situation with John Dee and Edward Kelly, that you don't understand what's going on here. What do I keep saying? John Smith instead of Joseph Smith? Joseph Smith, yeah. John Smith is Doctor Who. John Smith is Pocahontas. Yeah. Joseph Smith. Sorry, yeah, Mormonism and all that is just... It's all the same. It's some grifter dude coming up with a way to convince people they had a supernatural experience and that they're receiving messages from on high. Goes all. I mean, you can go if you want to talk about Christianity. It goes back to the Pauline stuff. That's Paulie. Yeah, Paulie had his experience on the road to Damascus. It's the same thing as their scrying session here and the golden plates. It's all the same grift. It just repackaged.
Still study and utilize Enochian in rituals, invocations, and divination. However, it's important to note that the validity and historical origins of Enochian are a subject of debate among scholars and practitioners alike. According to the accounts provided by Dee and Kelly, the language of Enochian was communicated to them by angels through a series of supernatural communications.
Well, I was getting John in my head because I was saying I've been saying John Dee a lot more than I've been saying Joseph Smith.
Visions. They believed that Enochian was the language spoken by angels, and that by understanding and speaking it, they could communicate and interact with these celestial beings. Enochian consists of a complex system of letters and symbols, arranged in a grid-like structure known as the Enochian tablet or the Great Table. This system is used to construct magical
Right, Joseph Smith did the same thing. He's like, God wants me to fuck your wife. Or it wasn't him, it was one of his descendants. It was, what's his name? Was Joseph Smith a polygamist? Maybe he was. Let me see. Joseph Smith, polygamy. Yeah, Joseph Smith had multiple wives. So, literally, it's like, yeah, I want to be able to bang a bunch of women is one of God's orders, right? Like, the women of my cult are sexually available for me.
Words, invocations, and spells. The language itself is said to have a powerful and mystical quality, with practitioners claiming that it possesses inherent spiritual and transformative properties. The Enochian system has been studied and utilized by various occultists, magicians, and esoteric groups throughout history.
Thank you, Sumami. Yeah, Brigham Young was the one who really doubled down on the polygamy
Notable
stuff.
figures who have incorporated Enochian into their magical practices include members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Aleister Crowley, and the influential occultist and ceremonial magician, Israel Regardie. Enochian rituals often involve the recitation of Enochian invocations, the use of magical tools, and the performance of ceremonial actions to establish a connection with angelic beings and seek their guidance or assistance. Some practitioners also employ scrying techniques, such as using crystal balls or mirrors, to receive visions and insights from the angelic realm. It's important to note that the claims and practices associated with Enochian and its use in magic are highly debated and subject to interpretation. While some individuals firmly believe in the efficacy and power of Enochian magic,
seriously, it was a grift to get some pussy. Let's not oversell it. The guy was like, I want to bang this woman. I need to figure out a way to make it happen. And he grifted her husband into thinking he was talking to angels, and the angels said that they wanted him to bang his wife. It's not that complicated. Stop pretending. And to this very day, we have people still using this Enochian language and thinking that there's appealing to some divine spiritual truth. And it's like, no, this was a grift that some guy did to hook up with a girl that he was into. For real. Was Pauly Shore his generation's Laurence Olivier? Oh, no. Pauly Shore is more of our generation's Don Knotts than Laurence Olivier. Pauly Shore, I guess, is currently trying to make a comedic docudrama about Richard Simmons, and I guess Richard Simmons' brother is pretty pissed about it. So, like, I don't know, Pauly Shore, get it together.
Magic. Others view it as a psychological or symbolic tool for personal exploration and transformation. To conclude, the origins and authenticity of Enochian, a purported angelic language, remain subjects of intense debate and speculation. Skeptics argue that its creators, John Dee and Edward Kelly, may have fabricated the language as part of their esoteric pursuits during the Elizabethan era. These skeptics point to the lack of historical evidence and the suspicious circumstances surrounding its creation, including the use of scrying and spiritual communication. While there is no definitive proof either way, it is undeniable that Enochian has captured the interest and fascination of numerous occultists and esoteric enthusiasts throughout.
Yeah, here we go. He's going to list off some of the people that still use this nonsense. And it's just like, I can't help but appeal to, like, the story of the nativity, right? Like, a teenage girl gets knocked up, and a quick twist of fate and some clever story building, we have multiple religions across the globe dedicated to worshiping her child now.
Out history, and continues to do so today. Despite the skepticism surrounding its origins, Enochian has been integrated into various occult systems and practices, particularly within the realms of ceremonial magic and angelic communication. Enthusiasts of Enochian study and practice the language with the belief that it holds profound spiritual and mystical significance. They explore its grammar, vocabulary, and symbols, delving into its purported connection with angelic beings and the realms of the divine. Some practitioners claim to have experienced profound insights, visions, and transformative experiences through their engagement with Enochian rituals and invocations. While the debate about the authenticity of Enochian is unlikely...
I mean, you can claim a lot of things. Some people claim to be vampires, so... I mean...
likely to be settled definitively, its enduring allure lies in its mysterious nature and the potential it holds as a tool for spiritual exploration. Whether it is a genuinely ancient angelic language or a product of human imagination, Enochian continues to serve as a source of inspiration and a catalyst for spiritual seekers, fueling their curiosity and driving them to delve deeper into the realms of the esoteric and the unknown. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating...
Okay, it's the esoteric and unknown. Alright. So, on this one, this is ancient enigmas. And you get things like unlocking the mystery behind Pandora's box, secret of stone giants. 5 more astonishing oddities. You got vampires down here too. Exploring the mysterious history of vampires. Unveiling the supernatural. Exploring haunted legends and ghostly encounters. Yeah, I'll subscribe to this. Why not? I could come back to this and pull some of this stuff. Looks like they haven't been going for very long. Well, actually, it looks like they only went for a minute and then they stopped producing content. So this might be all we ever get from them. But what do you all think? Is Enochian really a language? Should we share our wives and spouses with our fellow scrying buddies? Like, if you're going to do a Ouija board with somebody, does it really work if you aren't fucking their girlfriend or their boyfriend? I mean, does it work unless you've been completely intimate with their partner? Can you really share an intimate scrying moment together? Let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.